Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is week 13, Sunday game scripts, uncertainty rankings, defense against the position, and Vegas insights. If you've heard this before, you know where I'm going. Suggest you check out the podcast, our weekend Science of Fantasy Football.com podcast. We actually, Dennis and I went over the best and worst games, at least highlights, and you could certainly hear me running my mouth there. This is me hitting this as well. Going to cover a few other things in this, and I hope you enjoy this, and good luck. Remember, next week is Bimageddon. Stay awake. Get your team squared away for next week. You've been warned. Right. So, first thing I do when I'm looking at games, I'm definitely focusing on Vegas, the spread, the over-under, looking for high points, scoring games. That's usually fantasy goodness. Being extra concerned about low-scoring games, that's 42 or less. High scoring, I'm figuring 48, 49 above. Those are goodness, at least in general there. I also have defense against position for each team's defense that they're playing against, so you can see the sweet spots and the tough spots. And that may, again, allow you to tweak your lineup, break ties, these kind of things. We got a lot of that for you. Home versus away kind of information. And then I have the rankings tables. My rankings go from 100 the best to 0 worst. And the buckets I throw players in are high uncertainty, and that means could be a 0, could be really good, but most likely it's just going to be a little bit more risky than a low uncertainty player. So if you're into safety, low uncertainty players would be a better choice than high uncertainty players. So you can judge that as well. I do present the top and bottom of the power rankings based on how I see this week. And in green are the top players, top teams: Dallas, Minnesota, Buffalo, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Raiders, San Francisco, KC, Seattle. How about that? Chargers. And then the worst teams, and add extra concern: New Orleans, the Giants, Denver, Chicago, Indianapolis, Houston, and the Rams. And I've got that plotted here. You can always go the Science of Fantasy Football, and I've got this hard data article already up. You can look at the figures and tweak your lineups, as it were. I also do uncertainty team levels for the week and look at teams that have high amounts of average and high uncertainty players relative to low uncertainty players. And I have a ratio called HA/L, which is high average divided by low. And this week, the Chargers, Denver, Pittsburgh, Houston, Rams, Giants, Tampa Bay, watch that, and Washington are going to be the higher uncertainty teams. A lot more uncertainty surrounding their performances. The safer, in quotes, nothing's really safe in fantasy, but safer, Dallas, Detroit, check that. The Raiders, Baltimore, still worried about Baltimore. Buffalo, the Jets, San Francisco, Seattle, and Cincinnati seems to be the safest of the safe. You can take a look. I've plotted that as well here. So you can just go through this, and especially in deep leagues and deep plexes, I want to be a little bit deeper in the safer teams and extra concern getting too deep in the more riskier teams. And you can also look at power rankings. They're not necessarily linked together here. So for this week, let's just focus on these three. You can see how I see things, and then you can, on your own, kind of your own homework, do the rest here. So this weekend we have three what we call Husky games, good games, 50 points or higher, actually 52. All these games figure to be close as well. So usually lots of points and it's a back and forth. So that usually means a bonanza of fantasy goodness, right? All six teams. Overall, there's some sweet and sour points to the teams, but overall, the frame, the context seems to be all aboard these here for your daily fantasy and these kind of things. You're stacking and whatnot. Of course, remember you and everybody else knows that as well. So it's hard to win in daily fantasy when you're doing what everybody else is doing. Okay, so there that is. So here are my DAPs. Let's do Cincinnati, Kansas City. Overall, both teams have an above average AA easy defense. A little bit tougher for the running on both. So P. Ryan or Pachenko or whoever, I don't know if Gordon's going to be elevated. Watch that. That can be tricky. And Cincinnati, Burrow should be all aboard for his tight end and wide receivers all day long. Kansas City is just defying the odds on even tougher situations. A little bit tough for Kelsey and Mahomes. So at this point, it's kind of laughable how good they are, but they're going to have to earn it. And the wide receivers seem to have a sweet spot. So you figure without Tony, Juju should be usable. Maybe, MVS, maybe, I don't know who else is the, wide receiver, Sky Moore. So, could be, in deeper flexes, there may be some plays there. Detroit and Jacksonville both are going against each other in easy defenses. The only sour spot is Jacksonville against running backs. Detroit is tough against running backs. So ETN or Hasty, I guess Hasty coming out of the backfield may have a better advantage catching than ETN. So I'm curious to see how that matchup goes. You got to kind of play your folks if they're healthy, but just, scale back your expectations there. Detroit seems all aboard for Williams, maybe even Swift this week. The Sun God, I'm not sure about the tight end, but Brock has a sweet spot. And of course, Goff has been really wonderful, especially at home, and they love to pass at home. See my snaps report on efficiencies. I go into home away efficiency splits and lots of goodness in that report. So check that out at scienceoffantasyfootball.com. Goodness here. And finally, it's Vegas versus the Chargers again. Overall, easy defenses they play into should be all aboard on the quarterbacks and rushing. Eckler and Jacobs all day long, looks to me. And passing, the Chargers, I don't know if Palmer and Carter, I guess, this week, and even Keenan Allen, I guess he ought to be getting close to healthy, should be okay. The tight ends are going to have to earn their keep. And I know the Hollins for the Raiders, has been doing pretty good, but he's going to have to earn his keep. Chargers are a little bit tough on the wide receivers and tight ends, but overall looks like point bonanza as well. So in fact, you should use any of these defenses. Maybe Jacksonville. The kickers pretty much in play in Cincinnati, KC, and Raiders, Chargers. I probably would not be doing the kickers, Detroit, Jacksonville, if you've got choices. Okay. And so I'll give you an example of how I grade the players, rank them. Anything at 75 or above is usually first level. 50 to 74 is second level, and below 50, it's your guess. So how do we do this? The defense is 39, but low uncertainty, so it's eh. The kicker, average uncertainty, so that's fine, but 100, so it's all aboard there. Mahomes at 116 low, so you definitely, of course, you're already playing him. Pacheco at 61. I didn't do Gordon because I don't know if he's active, but if he is, he would have to be high uncertainty, but certainly less than Pacheco, but probably more than McKinnon. So Pacheco's RB2 this week. Kelsey, tight end 1, the best of the best. You got to play him, and low uncertainty here. Juju, he's a WR2, but high uncertainty. Sky Moore and MVS, who knows what you're going to get there. You're definitely gambling with Justin Watson as well. So those are your gambles for the week. So that's how I look at it, just a thumbnail, and I go back and check these numbers with Vegas, with the naps, and try to come to some conclusion. And there may be other factors, snaps and targets and things that you may gather from other places as well. Nothing's 100% metrics or zeros, so there is some meaning here, but I can't tell you the exact amount, and it could vary by position. But anyway, that's how I see this week. I will say, here's KC. Burrow's good. Kicker's good. Mixon's good. Higgins is good. Chase should be fairly good. Hurst should be a tight end 2 play, so he's even a stream possibility. And I will warn you, for every great games, there are 6 sad games. But there's 2 flavors. There's these blowout sad games here, and then there's the very close sad games there. So get deep into those. Be cautious. Be careful. Vegas is warning us that these are more defense, low scoring. So pick your spots carefully this week. This is a tough week too. Everybody needs that victory to ease to the playoffs, and unfortunately, we got 6 games that are sadness. So be extra cautious, and I do wish you good luck. Thanks for listening. Check out the podcast. Check out my snaps. Check out Dennis's value article, his consistency plays. Deal that all together, and especially your lineups and your deep decisions. This is all goodness to help you do that, nudge you towards success, I hope. Okay, thanks for listening. Check out all the other stuff at scienceoffantasyfootball.com. Thank you guys for listening. Yay. Good luck this week.